racing teammates Mark Martin and Jeff Burton have terrorized this territory. The inaugural Texas 500, Burton cruised to his first Winston Cup win. And last year, Martin carried the checkers. This year, Jeff Gordon, Texas Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett, and pole sitter Kenny Irwin all are revving up to tame this Texas tornado of a track. It's the Texas 500 next. Here, some 200,000 strong. NASCAR's Army, the fans that make up the Texas chapter, meeting for the third time to wave their colors for their American heroes. Earnhardt, Jarrett, Gordon, the Burtons, the Labontes. And they are ready to fight and fly their way around this approximate 1.5-mile track just north of Dallas-Fort Worth. Yesterday, 100,000 endured rain and cold to see Mark Martin victorious. Double that number on another gray and cool day, and you have the setting for the Texas 500. And a good day to you. Ken Squire here as we await the start of this, the third annual Texas 500. $4 million is at stake this afternoon for these 43 starters on this 1.5-mile track that has been totally reconfigured. It's a different track than we've ever seen before, as they made every effort to avert the havoc that we saw in the first 2 years, and apparently it's working very well. We'll get back to more on that story shortly, but we want to get right now to the man on the pole, the guy everybody is talking about. Back on Friday, number 28, the Robert Yates car. Remember, Robert Yates has gone with some relative unknowns before. Years ago, he had a guy named Davey Allison. Well, now it's Kenny Irwin at the controls, and he cracked a lap at 190+ miles an hour for the 1.5 miles to go onto the pole. It was one beautiful run, and let's find out more about it. Ralph Shaheen.
Ken, it's actually the second career pole for Kenny Irwin, his first of 1999. Kenny, tell me about the lap here on this newly reconfigured racetrack. How tough is this track going to be today?
But I mean, it's fast, don't get me wrong, and it's a lot better than what it was last year. And that's probably the problem, is that the fixes that they did in turn one have made it so much faster. And we just on Friday afternoon, we just cut a really good lap, and it didn't feel real good, but it was good enough to sit on the pole.
You're going to be starting on the inside. Is that going to be a big advantage in the opening laps?
Yeah, I believe that everybody on the inside is going to have some type of an advantage. But hopefully everybody kind of works together and lets everybody get down. And I think by 500 miles on this racetrack and wearing a second groove in, it's going to make for some racing on the outside, but I don't think you're going to see it all day long.
Kenny did win the inaugural NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here a couple of years ago. To Bill Stevens.
Well, there have been 5 NASCAR races here, and this man has won 3 of them. Mark Martin, tell me about your luck here at this racetrack. What's the secret?
It's been some of that, what you said, luck. But Winn-Dixie Busch cars always works well here. We've got a good chassis set up going through the corners here. And Valvoline team's got a great car for me for this race. And we just, there's a lot of stuff that has to do with how you finish that we can't control. And that's what makes it really interesting, and we're going to go out there and give it our best shot today.
Mark won the Busch race yesterday. 4 times in his career, he's won both the Busch and Winston Cup race in the same weekend. Back to you, Ken.
His 36th victory yesterday was one that was marked by a little bit of luck, a lot of strange things about the weather. Much of the day they played the rain game down here in the main straightaway. But when they got to racing, it was serious stuff. The first 73 laps unmarked by caution. Then they had a scatter of them all over the track with cars. And when it was over, Mark Martin was praying they didn't have to go any further. 33 laps shy, they called it a day. Well, there you see the standings from that event, with Mark Martin coming out victorious. Now, as to this track, dramatic changes have been made to this facility. The first 2 years, there were a lot of question marks about it. Eddie Gossage, track manager, had a chance to talk with him, or Dick Berggren did, and this is how it went.
Well, Eddie, you guys have done quite a job here. Here you've built the second biggest stadium in the United States. You built a big speedway club. You built this big condo project here. How big a risk was it putting all this money in?
Well, NASCAR doesn't award you a date. You've got to build the speedway and then apply for your dates, and that's what we did. So you're right, it's a big leap of faith, but it's been very successful for us and for NASCAR.
Well, all of that's been great, but surely there have been some problems here. The drivers complained about the surface of the racetrack, the way the straightaways transitioned into the turns. You've done a lot of work to try to fix that and try to prevent the crashes we've seen. What have you done?
Well, last year we took up the racetrack immediately after the race and completely repaved the whole place, and we changed the transition. Right here was a real critical point in turn 1. The transition in turn 1 from the straightaway starts much earlier than it did before. Before, the guys would turn the car into the corner, but it was flat. The last second, the banking came up and caught the car. Down in turn 4, they'd be coming off the corner and it would drop real abruptly. Now we've pulled it further down the straightaway and it's a much slower taper. We hope they like what we've done through the testing and all like that. We've heard a lot of good things about it, but we'll see how it goes today.
How much money have you spent doing all this?
Well, you're standing on about $250 million here, and that's with a B. That's the largest investment that we know of in the whole world in motorsports in one place.
Water was also a problem. Last year it was coming up through the racetrack. What have you done to solve that problem?
Well, when we took up the asphalt to make the changes in the transition, we also put in a drainage system underneath. That was a very wet spring last year, but we had to give the water a place to go. Obviously what was under there wasn't sufficient. So there is a drainage system and it dumps into a storm sewer, and since we did that, we've had no problems.
Well, here we go again. It's your third try at a Winston Cup race. Are you absolutely confident all the problems are solved?
Well, this is running a city of 220,000 people today. You never know what's going to happen, but we feel good about it, and we hope the drivers like what we do and what we've done, and we're looking forward to a great race this afternoon.
Now, one of the interesting things that the drivers are going to face this afternoon is every time they have come to Texas, the racetrack has had something of a different configuration, and that has meant that each of the drivers have had to find the line with what amounts to a brand new racetrack. We're about to see who's going to do the best job of finding the line today.
Thank you, Dick. This fellow, Eddie Gossage, has quite a busy to-do list as general manager, but somehow last night he found time to get himself married over here in the Speedway Club. Congratulations, Eddie and Melinda. All the best for a good life. We are back for the Texas 500 live this afternoon on CBS. 58 degrees and overcast here, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Countdown is continuing, and everybody's heart begins to beat just a little faster. Let's go to the folks who call the race for you today. Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker, and Mike Joy.
Thanks, Ken. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Texas. An elaborate pre-race show going on right now as we close down on the Texas 500 green flag in just a little while. The 5 races so far this season have been won by a total of 2 teams. Multi-car teams have really come to the forefront of NASCAR racing, and never more than this year. In the 5 races so far, only 6 drivers paced by Ward Burton from single-car teams have scored top 10 finishes. So I'll turn to 2-time Grand National Champion Ned Jarrett, who I don't believe ever had a teammate, and say, Ned, this is quite a trend, everything the way we're going with these multi-car teams.
Yes, we're seeing more and more of them every year, Mike, and certainly the multi-car teams have an advantage. First of all, they get more test dates. NASCAR restricts each team to 7 tests during the season, and of course if you got 2 teams, you got 14 and so on down the line, and of course it gives them more opportunities to do research and development as far as engines are concerned as well. But the 2 teams that have won this year, the Roush and Hendrick teams, I think maybe are a little bit ahead of some of the other teams in adapting to the rules that they're running under this year. Last year they ran under what was called a 5-and-5 rule. The spoiler had 5 inches high and the front air dam was 5 inches off the ground. Well, now they've changed that, and it has been an adjustment for many of the teams, and it just seemed like those 2 teams maybe have made the adjustments a little bit better.
And so far, they've been the most successful. Buddy Baker, who are some of the fellows who haven't won yet that are just champing at the bit and ready to win?
You said it exactly right. Like Dale Jarrett, Mike Skinner, Jeremy Mayfield, Rusty Wallace, Jeffrey Bodine. He was the quickest all week here. These guys are ready, and they can beat these guys, and you might see that today.
Well, let's have a look at some of the highlights from the 1999 season to date. The 5 races that have been run. The season, as always, starts out with its biggest race, the Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon down to the inside between Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace to take the lead with 11 laps to go. And then on the final circuit, Gordon holds off defending winner Dale Earnhardt to score his second Daytona 500 win. Snappy pit work at Rockingham put Mark Martin out front in the closing laps. He pulled away to win it after teammate Jeff Burton had led most of the way. The Burton brothers would tangle in Las Vegas. That's Jeff in 99 and his older brother Ward in 22. It was Jeff who picked up his first season win. Race 4 in Atlanta. Jeff Gordon bided his time early, took the lead past the halfway point, and won Atlanta going away. Last week at Darlington, rain begins to fall, cars spin, caution comes out, and race leader Jeff Burton wrecks into the wall. The race is red flag. Burton does a rain dance. It pours down harder, and his unraceable car is declared the winner. So Jeff Burton is the Winston Cup point leader. Jeff Gordon just 7 points back. Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Mike Skinner led most of the season in the point standings, and Dale Jarrett. The top half dozen, Ward Burton, Jeremy Mayfield, Terry Labonte, and Michael Waltrip complete the top 10. Let's go to pit road and Dick Berggren.
Thanks, Mike. There have been 5 big league stock car races here in Texas, and while most team owners would be happy to have finished those 5 races, one of them, Jack Roush, has won 4 of those races. How have you had so much success here in Texas?
Well, the first thing I want to say is God bless Texas. The second thing, I guess, is to note that each time we've come here, it's been to a brand new racetrack that was configured unlike anything else on the circuit. Our guys have reacted better to the changes than, or the adversity as the case might be, than their competitors, and have made us the winners. I don't expect that to continue necessarily. I had a chance to, on a different note, I had a chance to meet Governor Bush today, George W. Bush. I look forward to seeing the now Governor Bush in the White House again. But beyond that, they've done a great job on the speedway here. Bruton Smith and Gossage are to be commended for the fine job they've done.
You've got 5 cars in today's race. Which one's supposed to win?
Well, you know, I knew you were going to ask me that question. I tend not to remember things going right as much as things going wrong. You know, I'm likely to come away from the race here remembering that, boy, we shopped too short, we had a bad pit stop, something broke, even if we win the race.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
Jack Roush's cars have won 3 of the 5 Winston Cup races so far this season. We'll be right back to Texas after this.
We're back with you. Texas Motor Speedway, where it's happening today on CBS. All 43 cars are up on pit road, and the one everybody is talking about will be starting in 20th position, number 99, the point leader, Jeff Burton. Buddy Baker had a chance to sit down and chat with the Winston Cup point leader. Interesting conversation.
This year, everything seems to be going a little smoother for you guys. Last year was a good year. Are you better this year?
The reason that we've come out and been better this year than we've been in the past is because we're more prepared. In the past, we've been building everything from scratch. Well, the rules have changed. Everything we had was wrong. The tourists came out. We had to build all new cars. We were building race cars. This year, we were fine-tuning race cars. We made personnel changes that raised the bar for our team. We've got better pit stops. We're doing everything that was just a little bit better based on the time that we had to spend on it.
The Cinderella story started for you right here in Texas. How special was that win?
Well, it was real special. We won the race. We got home late Sunday night. I went to the shop Monday morning, and everybody was working. It was just another day. And that was a lot different than I had imagined. I thought they'd have a national holiday or something, but it ended up just back to work Monday morning. And wasn't as glamorous as I thought it would be, but that's what you have to do. You've got to get back to work on Monday, because if you don't, when you show up next Sunday, you won't be as competitive as you need to be.
How do you like your chances this week?
Well, I hate to be too optimistic about any race. I like the racetrack. I feel good about it. It's going to be a long race. A lot of things can happen in these races, but I feel pretty good.